This program is brought to you by TAB. Long may we play.
Hello, I'm Searcy. Welcome to another week of Thoroughbreds Are Go. Coming up, a look at a world-class eventing family, BLAIR and NIKKI Richardson, and their star junior son Charlie, whose chosen horse of competition is the Australian Thoroughbred. Leading New South Wales racing owner and breeder Matthew Sandblom with some strong ideas on where thoroughbred aftercare should be headed in Australia. In Kingstar Farms, the thoroughbred guru Scott Brodie has more training tips for your thoroughbred. This week, looking at assessing and improving your horse's response to pressure. And another great tale in Arrowfield Studs' Strappers Stories. That's all coming up on Thoroughbreds Are Go. BLAIR and NIKKI Richardson are two of Australia's top three-day eventers, NIKKI having competed at the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games and BLAIR having ridden at international level for New Zealand. And their son Charlie is an up-and-coming junior New South Wales rider. Here they explain why the thoroughbred is their chosen horse for elite competition. It's great to be here at Vantage Hill. You obviously have your business, which is, pre-trainers and breakers, so you're really au fait with the thoroughbred as a racehorse. But tell me a little bit about what you do with some of the off-track thoroughbreds, because you're competing at the highest level with them, and they're just a different breed to, whether it be warm bloods or any other breed.
Yeah, look, we've been riding thoroughbreds for years, nearly decades now. My best horse has been a thoroughbred. I'm just used to them. We see hundreds come through the farm every year. I personally love them. I love the enthusiasm from a thoroughbred. They're just forward-thinking horses. I feel more comfortable riding a thoroughbred than a warm blood.
We've heard this earlier in the series. They can get to a really elite level, can't they, in eventing, show jumping and all sorts of different competitions they want to be taken to?
Oh, by far. There's been a lot of horses go to the Olympic Games, thoroughbreds, that have been ex-race horses. And as I said, my best horse also was listed for some teams, and I was on teams on ex-race horses at elite level with the thoroughbred.
So tell me the differences in how you're training. I mean, we've seen four very different thoroughbreds here today, from an elite sort of four-star eventer to a new really green Son of Dawn approach, only 4 rising 5. How do you start with their basic training to get them to be able to do this comfortably?
I think it's just a basic understanding of training a young thoroughbred, well, a young horse anyway. So you introduce things as they're confident and as they're ready to progress and do more. And when you saw Maverick jumping, he's an older 4-star horse of mine, and it takes them at least four years to get to that level. So it is a slow process, and it's just a process along the way. The older you get, the more you learn how to produce a horse to that level.
Tell us about some of the jumps you have here. I mean, some of the wings or the angles you're trying to get to focus the horse in on that jump.
Yeah, well, you saw us jump, even on my younger horses, you saw us jump the arrowhead, and to start with, we did have some wings out the side to encourage them to jump in the middle of the fence, and then later on I took them away, and that's just to, even if they do go to run out, they're still jumping something, so the horse has made an effort to jump something, and then you can keep correcting them in to the middle of the fence, and you ideally want them to stay in the middle of the fence. So there are different training methods to help you train your horses to jump straighter and jump a bit better as well.
And with eventing too, I mean, obviously that, it used to be that there was a whole different way that the eventing was held, as far as a lot more of the roads and tracks and things that suited the thoroughbreds. Tell me about some of the changes now that brings them back a bit more in line with the warm bloods to be really competitive in eventing.
Yeah, well, if you just take the last few biggest 5-star events, even Adelaide last year, it was won by Hazel Shannon and Clifford, Willinga Park Clifford, and it's a thoroughbred. And they've altered the dressage scoring, which has narrowed the gap, made it a bit tighter, so it's a lot closer. So the thoroughbreds now are back in there really competitive with the warm bloods, because the scoring's a bit closer and they're going to run the time down, and they're going to jump as well as the warm bloods jump in the show jumping. They've got the endurance at the end of the competition to jump a clear round.
And your son Charlie, he's obviously a fabulous young rider. How does it go with mum and dad trying to sort of tell him what to do? He looks, I mean, he's just a natural, but it's really great to see another generation coming through and listening to mum and dad.
Yeah, well, sometimes it can be a bit interesting, but Charlie rides his horses well and we enjoy helping him, and he hopefully enjoys riding them, but it seems to work really well at the moment.
I've grown up with thoroughbreds all my life. Mum and dad rode them and they've had a big influence on me with the thoroughbreds, so I've got 2 really good thoroughbreds at the moment and they're just taking me up the levels. I'm getting the experience from them, and yeah, they're teaching me a lot. And my eventing one, he's just got so much stamina and will cart me around across country and get me inside the time every event, and which just fills me with joy. And yeah, they never disappoint me.
It's a learning thing. You're kind of learning with them when they're off the track. They're learning all the time as well.
Yeah, see, they're not perfect. Like, my one gets a bit buzzy sometimes, but it just, again, teaches me how to cope with that and how to deal with stress. And if I stuff up, he's never looking to run out. He always puts as much effort in as he has to get over the fence and keep me safe, and which just gives me confidence that if something doesn't go right, I'm not going to fall in a heap.
So how far would you like to get, particularly on a thoroughbred?
Oh yeah, look, I'd love to one day represent my country, but before then, just get up the grades positively and have a good time, really, with my mates.
Certainly in our family, we've got Charlie, who is very much into riding his thoroughbreds. Other families, there aren't too many eventing families in Scone, but very good friends, the Mitchell family, who own Yarraman Park. Their daughter Willa is also a keen eventer and also a great friend of Charlie's.
And when it comes to the end of their career as racehorses, or even if they don't race, having been through that, they've been through so much, aren't they? I mean, they're not exactly bomb-proof, but they're pretty close to it compared to your average sort of sport horse of the same age.
Absolutely. So these horses are broken in before they're even 2 years old, and they've, like I said, they've gone through barriers. They've cantered and galloped around side by side next to other horses. They've gone to the races. They've been hosed off and rugged and saddled and been exposed to huge crowds. So yeah, they have gone through a lot. Sometimes on the ones that are really sensitive and are really hot, they do get a little bit worried. But as a rule, a lot of them, when they've come back from racing and are finished racing, they cope very well being trained into a different discipline. The awareness of rehoming thoroughbreds is increasing more and more. We were at an event on the weekend, and I would say the majority of those horses were thoroughbreds. That was at a low level event. The top riders in eventing at the moment, they're still riding quite a few warm bloods. However, they are also have got younger thoroughbreds coming up the grades, because they are getting them off the track. And as Blair mentioned earlier, the sport has changed a little bit in the scoring system, which I think is definitely encouraging people to look into the thoroughbreds again a bit more.
Is there a specific sort of thoroughbred you look for? I mean, it is all about, in a way, conformation. Can any size and shape thoroughbred do show jumping and eventing, or does it need a specific conformation?
I look to a degree, but for me personally, I'm looking for a longer-legged, scopier, rangier type of horse. And I presume nowadays in the racing, the sprinting horses are all more nuggetier and shorter and compact. Well, we're actually looking for a big open scopy horse that'll gallop across the country and jump some big fences out of a nice big open stride. So you do sort of get to know the sprinting bred horses, and you're looking for something of your more middle distance for eventing, and you start to learn which are the better jumping bred horses. You start to get an idea of something by Costa de Lago might jump a bit better than something by Schnitzel.
So for someone that's a young show jumper or eventer, what would you say, you know, as far as them taking on a thoroughbred?
Oh, I reckon it's great. I reckon there's plenty of thoroughbreds out there, and as long as they've got the right temperament, the thoroughbreds, you know, a lot of thoroughbreds can be hot, but I think that they offer so much. As you saw Charlie's horse, Bellbird Sandpiper Jeffrey, like he's a horse with a lot of enthusiasm, a really keen, forward-thinking horse, and so I think that really can help some riders. It keeps them thinking forward with their jumping.
A very talented family, and wonderful to see how they educate their thoroughbreds for competition. Coming up on Thoroughbreds Are Go, thanks to Kingstar Farm, the thoroughbred guru with Scott Brodie, and Kingstar's owner, prominent breeder Matthew Sandblom, and his thoughts on thoroughbred welfare in Australia.